I'm gonna go ahead and finish up with some of the other trends that really captured my attention. And let's go back to Xiaomi with the Pocophone F1 because that got like a lot of hype when that phone was first released. The reason being was because of the specs. Now we just got done talking about how the Note 9 was pretty much the best phone on the market because hardware-wise, yeah, there was pretty much no equal to it for what they was offering. And yet, Xiaomi was saying that, well, we could put out pretty similar hardware for a lot cheaper. And they attempted to do that with a Snapdragon 845, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 4,000 milliamp hour battery, a 6.18-inch 1080 by 2246 display with up to 256 gigabytes of RAM of internal storage. So if you take those specs and you compare it to the Note 9, well, as far as processor, even. RAM, even. Battery, even. Display, well, the Note 9 chooses to use an AMOLED, and some would say that would be a better display than the Pocophone's LCD display. But for most people on a daily, they probably can let that slide. We can allow the display to be a different. I'm okay with that. And as far as storage, well, most people are not looking for a terabyte of storage. And then you look at what Xiaomi was offering the Pocophone F1 for about $320 opening day when it was released. So people are like, this is a deal. In fact, if these companies can put out this phone for that amount of money, why are you, Samsung, especially Google, putting out phones that are more expensive? But then we saw the devil in the details, that specs don't make everything, as this phone had some issues with lag and other performance type issues, which had people say, okay, well, especially your Pixel advocates, this proves the point that specs don't make everything. That you guys are complaining about more RAM, and yet here's a phone with more RAM not performing like you thought it would. Me, that still don't excuse Google for not putting more RAM in their phone. In fact, because of the lack of RAM that they put in their phone and me having memory issues, this led me to a phone that I actually made my daily driver, and that's the OnePlus 6T, something I really got to talk about. In fact, I love this phone. I picked it up just to play around with it, to see if it was indeed, worth the hype. And I got to tell you, the first time I picked this phone up and started playing around with it, I'm like, all right, this is it. This has become my daily driver. And let me tell you why. Now, I love stock Android. In fact, I'm a big advocate of the main reason why I prefer Google's phones, the Nexus, the Pixel over Samsung's TouchWiz device, is because I like stock Android. I like the clean software, that just performs well. And I feel like TouchWiz a lot of times it's too much for me. It's just extra software that I don't want on top of there. It got sometimes I complain about lag, which a lot of people say with the latest Samsung device is not an issue anymore. And just the overall look. I just prefer the look of stock Android over a lot of the skins that are out there, especially from companies like Samsung. But after playing with the OnePlus 6T, I had to admit to something that I really didn't want to admit to. And that's that, well, as much as I like stock Android is kind of boring. It's just plain Jane. And, as much as I talk about how much I enjoy stock Android, I kind of wish there was a little bit more. And that's what OnePlus 6T has been able to do with this phone. It took stock Android and it kept it clean. It, kept it simple, but it added some extra stuff that made the phone feel like you was getting something. Stuff like gestures to be able to draw on your phone to open up certain apps. The fingerprint sensor. That's the underglass fingerprint sensor. That's similar to what I talked about on the Vivo Next, but faster. The fast face unlock. Also has 9.0 power, which is similar to what you have on your Pixel 3 XL. And it has 8 gigabytes of RAM on it. All that for almost half the price of the Pixel 3 XL. And definitely much cheaper than the Note 9. And when you take these phones and you compare them to each other, it's like, well, the Note 9, I have to admit, it's in a class on its own. So I can't quite say the OnePlus 6T is in that class because it's simple fact that, yeah, the Note 9 has stuff like I said, S Pen, all this other software tweaks that just makes it a step above a lot of phones out there. But as far as a phone that would be in between the stock Android field of the Pixel 3 XL and the powerhouse of the Note 9, I feel like the OnePlus 6T sits right in the middle perfectly. Because like I said, you get that clean software. You get those extra software tweaks that make the phone a lot more enjoyable to use. And it got some other stuff on there such that just really stands out to me that, yeah, it needs to be talked about. Like the toggle switch that you can use to switch to turn the sound to vibrate or off. The notch. I mean, you look at the Pixel 3 XL, that notch, people have talked about it a lot. You know, it's like, as much as people have complained about the notch, Google decided to take that notch and just make it ridiculously large. Now, they said the reason for doing that was so they can have a larger camera for the front-facing camera for wide-angle shots, which they talk about a lot of times in their commercial. But for, you know, the overall aesthetic of the device, it makes it just unappealing. And what OnePlus did with theirs, they still kept a notch, but it made it where it's not as intrusive. It made it where it's something that you will enjoy wanting to use. And you feel like when you bought this phone, you got your money's worth. Because when you take the phone out of the box, not only do you get a phone, but you get a free screen protector and a case. Something that you're not going to find with a lot of your high-end smartphones. Even with the Note 9, which I applaud for being a top device. But when you spend $1,000 for that phone, that's one of those phones you're like, okay, I just spent $1,000 for the phone. You should include more than just a phone. I should see a screen protector in there, a case, but you're not getting with that. But you do with this phone. And that's the little things right there that stands out. The charging brick. The little things that make it really feel like, yeah, as far as phones, when you look at the Google 3XL, you say, man, Google, you really need to step up your game. To quote Flossie Carter, what he said in his video, Google, you kind of need to pay attention to what's going on out there. Because you can't keep putting out these devices that hardware-wise are not up to par with some of these other manufacturers out there, especially when they're able to do that for a cheaper price. I understand that you say your software is optimized and it can handle a lot of things better, and you're trying to pretty much become the Apple of Android. That said, there's no excuse for you to charge the price that you're charging for a phone and just be that inferior when it comes hardware-wise. You have to step it up as far as your hardware game. And that's something that I really hope Google fixes next year.